We're here today in conversation with Julia Cundliffe, a longtime Valley resident. Could you tell us a little bit about your early days, for instance, where you were born and how your family came to be in the area?
I was born in Golden, BC, one of the few remaining people that were born here and still live here. I shouldn't say few, there's quite a few actually when you look around. So I was raised out on a farm in Moberly called Valley View Farm. And today, even some of the family members live on that farm. And so it's kind of nice that it's been able to be kept in, sort of in the family.
Yeah.
I, of course, went to school from there, went to Moberly School for grade 1. It was quite a hike through the Lambert's Lake and through in the winter time, going on skis sometimes. Cold. I remember being so cold. We'd get to school and have to chip the ice out of the ink well, which was set in the desks at that time. You probably have one here. So anyway, that was just for grade 1, and then the buses started to run, so we'd walk down the hill to Steve Petruch's and catch the bus from there into school. So all the people in the area went to the Golden School at that point. And then I completed my schooling in Golden and graduated in 1958. There were 7 of us in our graduating class compared to usually several hundred now. But anyway, I didn't carry on to go to university. I ended up working at the Golden Hospital for 3 years, which I loved, being a nurse's aide. I went from there to got married actually, and my husband at the time was in the RCMP, but he decided to get out of the RCMP and started to work for the Golden Star. He enjoyed that work, so for some reason, I can't remember exactly what it was, we decided to start the Damn Advertiser, a little giveaway paper, an advertiser we didn't pay for. It started in 1964. I was 7 months pregnant with my 3rd child, so I wasn't much help initially, but I do remember all kinds of stuff in our kitchen, papers all over the floor. I did a lot of the artistic stuff, doing advertisements and so on that we were able to get, and cranking the hand Gestetner. We used a hand Gestetner. At that time, we finally graduated to an electric one. We moved to a couple of spots in Golden, running that advertiser. And then in 1969, we were approached by a friend who said we should be starting a newspaper rather than an advertiser. So we joined company with Clayton Stacey and ended up putting out the Golden Gazette. We ended up, we actually had a fire. We had at that time bought the old buildings on Gould's Island, and we had a fire there, and we missed one issue. Next issue we put out from the upstairs in our little house, which is now the Century House, and carried on. He left shortly after that to pursue other interests, and we carried on running the Golden Gazette for many years. And in 1978, I purchased it from my husband. At that time, things weren't going well in our marriage, so I decided I would either buy him out or he could buy me out. So we ended up parting, and I kept the Golden Gazette. And it was a paid for, it wasn't a giveaway paper at that time. And I had good staff, so I thought, in 1979, 1980, I thought, I'm going to try and buy the Golden Star out. I loved newspapering. I'd learned a lot from just experience. I ran the press from time to time. I did a lot of darkroom work, photography, interviewing people, the whole gamut. Which makes a business successful is being able to, cover all your bases and do every step that is required in any business. And I think a lot of people today don't realize that. But anyway, that's how life has changed. So anyway, I got the realtor to go and approach the Golden Star, who was run by, I think, Nakamura, I think, ran it at the time. And I thought, oh, I'll just buy them out and I'll have the exclusive newspaper in Golden, because I love doing it. Well, things just didn't happen the way I thought. So lo and behold, they turned around and asked to buy me out, which sort of floored me. But when I get a decision to make in my life, I really think about it. At night, you sort of mull over everything in your mind and you think, okay, what am I going to do if I sell? But the price was right. So I thought, okay, I will sell out and get out of newspapering. And sort of almost simultaneously at that time, the little store called Buttons and Bows was for sale by Mrs. Tellerico. It was located in the Masonic building in the lower floor. And I thought, oh, I've always enjoyed knitting and sewing and crafts and that sort of thing. So I thought, I'll just go and buy it out. So I bought it out from her and really enjoyed it. It was just a nice break from the sort of the constant deadlines that you get with lots of businesses, particularly a newspaper business. So it was a nice, relaxing time in many ways for me, but a big learning time, because even though I'd knitted as a child, I had to learn lots of new things and so on. And so I carried on with that for until 1987. And I was getting kind of bored. I sort of needed more of a challenge, so I thought, okay, I will just offer it for sale, but nobody buys businesses that easily. So, and in the meantime, I had built the new log building, which on the island, you know, and moved into there. So we had our own building, and I rented out as well upstairs. So, you know, it was kind of a landlady as well as an entrepreneur. And anyway, I decided I'll just sell it out. So I just sold everything off and actually was going to take it easy for a year or so. But lo and behold, if Clayton Stacy and his wife Lucille didn't appear back on the scene and said, let's start a newspaper again. So I thought, oh, well, I really enjoyed it. And this 5 years that you're supposed to not do the same job again had gone by. And I thought, okay, I will go and we'll start it up again. So we did the Golden Times. And again, it was a paid for, it wasn't a freebie. And it's hard to get subscriptions. You know, you have to really work at getting them. But into 2 months of being with them, my job was going to be to do some darkroom work and write a column. I ended up doing most of the work, and they spent their time elsewhere. And I just said, look, this isn't going to work. I need to just buy you out and do it on my own. So I did that and until 1989, and lo and behold, what we did was we changed sort of, or I changed the format. I decided we're going to give it away again, because that's the way to get people to read it, and you don't have to go after subscriptions. So I called it the Golden Valley Times, and I dropped them off all along the way. In the meantime, we were getting it printed in Cranbrook, so it was really efficient to drop them off along the way, and then just disperse them in Golden. So it sort of posed a threat to the company that had bought out the Golden Star, I guess, because they could see what I was doing, and they're the same group basically that had bought me out the first time, or they were behind the money anyway. So I said, when they approached me to buy me out, I said, okay, whatever. Paid me the same amount they paid me the first time. I said, okay. So off I went. So I did have actually about, sort of a year, I think, that I enjoyed myself, relaxed, did some golfing, actually got pretty good at golf, and decided that I would just not worry about doing anything. But I had, when we had the newspaper, I had a little side business called Owner Network. And it was sort of a real estate, but you couldn't sell because I wasn't licensed. We were able to take the information and put pictures on the window, which I did, for people. And I sort of got my taste of real estate, thinking, this would be kind of interesting to do. So at that time, you had to get a sponsor to get you to, apply to write for your real estate exam. And I knew I couldn't do it with somebody in Golden, so I went to Cranbrook and got a sponsor there. Ended up getting my real estate licensing, and then lo and behold, in I guess it would be 90 or 91, I'm not sure of those exact dates, but Barney Barterson approached me, and he was leaving the current Golden Realty, and he wanted to start up the RE/MAX office, and he said, would you join me? And so I thought, oh well, why not? So I ended up joining him. We opened a RE/MAX office, and loved it, loved every bit of real estate. So I did that for the next, how many years? 20 years almost. And well, I've been so fortunate. Everything I've done in my life I've enjoyed, and that's what makes you happy, is doing what you enjoy and what you love, and you feel more fulfilled. You do a better job.
Yes.
And so I decided, I would do that, and it was very successful. I made, lots of money, enjoyed myself, and enjoyed meeting many people who are still my friends today. And but I did quit at one point and I was approached by a company because they knew I'd taken my broker's license to start up Ultimate, they called it Ultimate Realty, and so I started up a little office, did that for a couple of years, but wasn't really that interested in working with them, and I was by myself, basically. So it was quite difficult to run an office and still get out and show people homes and so on. So I ended up going to Golden Realty for a while, and then I decided to retire from real estate. So that's what I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, in the meantime, Paul and I had enjoyed lots of travel and so on, and I still enjoy traveling. So that's partly what I do. My son and daughter have a business that I help out a bit with, and do my gardening and so on, and enjoy my cats.
Nice. During that time that you were busy doing all these various things, you were involved in other things in Golden, though, not just business. You were involved in some organizations.
Lots of organizations,
Yeah.
actually. I guess that comes with the territory, especially when you're in the newspaper business. You need to know who's who and what meetings and so on you should attend and cover. I decided to run for council. I'd gotten interested in politics during my years as a newspaper person. I thought it was rather interesting. So I ran for a 3-year stint on council. I didn't enjoy it that much, simply because I just felt there was too much rules and too many regulations, and you just are a little ineffective as one voice. So I didn't, go for any further stint in the council. Yeah.
Were you involved with any other nonprofit organizations during your time in Golden?
Yeah. I was chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, and I've been very active in hospice for the last 13, 14 years, which is very fulfilling to me. I often say to people I should have become a nurse at some point, and because I had my sort of experience as a nurse's aide for 3 years as my first job, I thought this sort of is a nice ending to helping people on, in their last days of life, and it's very rewarding. People don't understand that, but it's a very rewarding thing to do.
Yeah, and it's not something that just anybody can do.
No, it certainly isn't.
Yeah. I'm going to take you back
Okay.
because we didn't talk about your family, how they came to be here, and how many siblings you have, if you wouldn't mind naming
Yep.
them.
Yep.
And your mother was also involved with you in the newspaper. She wrote a column
She
for
wrote
many
the Valley
years, didn't she?
Viewpoint for years.
So yeah, if you could just talk a little bit about
Yes, she did that. Mom was one of the smartest ladies, I guess, that I ever knew. And she because I wasn't able to do that much when we initially started the Dam Advertiser. She started a column called Valley Viewpoint, which continued into the Golden Gazette for a while, not for a long time. But she wrote about all sorts of things. I still have most of her columns. Sometimes think I should publish a book on them and her life, because she was such an amazing lady. She was very involved with the Big Bend Resource Council and the Rock and Fossil Club and things like that had started up in Golden, and very much an environmentalist, but not an erratic one. She was very reasonable about things. So anyway, she and Dad met, I guess, in Calgary when Mom came from England, he came from Switzerland. And in the 1920s, I guess it would have been, in the mid-1920s. And they met in Calgary, where he was a chef and she was teaching. And they would go out, I don't know where they went in the same groups, but they met in the mountains in around Banff and Lake Louise, because they both enjoyed getting out into the wilderness and enjoying hiking and so on. And so that's where they met and ended up getting married, moved to Creston, and came back to Golden in 1939, because Hazel, Margaret, Bernie, and Jean were all born. Well, actually, Hazel, Margaret, and Bernie were born in Creston in a little log cabin. I'm amazed at how my mom did with being a woman from a city coming out to the wilderness, and how she had to learn everything, like many of those women did in those days. Anyway, they were living over where, well, it was Gus Teal's place, but it's now on Anderson Road for a while. And then they got the farm when Dad came back from the war. And of course, I was born just before the war, and Nikki was born when Dad was away at war. So we never knew a Dad until 1945, 46. And then, yeah, we just did everything. We lived off the land, basically, in Moberly. We had to. Yeah. There was no money in those days. So, yeah, so, and then after the war, Fred and Jack were born, the twins, and one passed away. The young Jack passed away, and then Mom had another child, which she named Jack. So we ended up with 9 of us in the family altogether.
My goodness. But that was common, right?
Yes,
like
yes.
to have large families in those days.
Very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much today.
I decided on 4 was enough.
And your 4 children, could you name them and tell us where they are and what they're doing today?
I can tell you some, not a lot. My oldest daughter is Viva, and she's in Kamloops. She's more of an inventor, a free spirit, and she still lives there. Not married, that I'm aware of. My next daughter, Lorena, is in Calgary. She has 2 boys. Married to a great guy, Jerome, and the 2 boys are 21 and 19. Both finished school and working away at various jobs. And then Aaron, I should say, is next. And he and, of course, Petra, he met her in Australia. They traveled around, and he ended up back in Golden at the Island Restaurant. So they're there, still doing that, and enjoying it, and doing a good job of it. And Shane, my youngest son, has worked for CPR for almost 20 years, and he just took a transfer to Kamloops, and loves it down there. So.
Oh, good. So at least you have somebody here in Golden.
Oh, yeah.
And siblings still in the area.
Yeah.
And what would you say your favorite thing about living in Golden is?
What's my favorite thing? I think feeling you can walk down the street and be safe. It's just a nice feeling that you can say hello to everybody. You can pop into stores and say hi, and everybody sort of is friendly, and you know, it's your town. It's your home, and you know, when I was sick, that made me think how important home is. Coming home and being safe. Yeah.
No, good job, Julia. You've covered, I think, most of the things that we've asked everybody else about. There is a couple things. Did you have favorite places where you shopped in Golden?
No, not really. I like to patronize everybody. I made it a point, when a new business opens, I go in and see what they're like. Always have. And then if somebody asks me about my town, I can tell them, you can get this here or you can get that there. And I think that's lacking sometimes in a lot of people in the tourism industry or the front end industry. They don't know where things are, and they just sort of say, well, I don't think we have that in Golden or whatever, which is really wrong, to say that. They need to be told, this is what we have in Golden, and, be proud of that.
Yeah.
I mean, in a small town, you can't have everything, of course, but I learned that when I had my business. It really was annoying when I would have somebody coming in and saying, oh, I just bought that in Calgary. I didn't know you had it. Well, well, you could have come in. Of course, you don't say that, but
Yeah.
you feel like you'd like to say it. Well, you should have checked here first. My price was probably better, which it often was. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
but one thing I didn't mention, and I'm just trying to think, when did I do that? The Phoenix seminar. I love doing that, motivational stuff. And I don't know how, it must have been in the 80s when I got really interested in motivational things. And I had a little time to get into that because, it was when I had my store, because I actually had the whole town council and the mayor come and take that seminar upstairs in my log building. It was exactly that, motivation and believing in yourself, and if there's roadblocks, how do you get around them, and getting rid of all your baggage and so on. And I sometimes think I should have made a career out of that, but I didn't. Yeah, there's things like that. I still enjoy doing that, reading lots of motivational stuff, and trying to practice it.
Wait till you. Well, you were in industries the entire time. All your working years were in frontline jobs, so it would have certainly been useful to have some of that
Yes,
motivational.
for sure.
Yeah.
And raising kids.
Yeah, you need a little
I
bit
think of that. It's so
motivation for
funny
that.
how you just look back and you think, how in the world did I raise kids, especially when I was on my own for those few years, and do what I did. And I see people doing it now, and I think, oh, that's how I was.
Yeah.
I look at my granddaughter, Loretta. She's always been my granddaughter, eh? Because it was Paul's daughter, and
Right.
she spent so much time with us. When I go into the restaurant where she works there, and she's, hi, Grandma. Everybody looks. And now I've got a great grandma with her two little boys, So it's kind of interesting how those things happen, with the second family I had that is still my second family.
Yeah, you don't lose that, do you?
No.
You share
Okay.
times with them, and then it just it doesn't go away, for sure. I'm still. I said I was an orphan, and then I realized, because I lost both my parents, but then I realized I still have my stepfather and stepmother, and they were with my parents for more than 25 years each.
Yeah.
So. They become family. So I'm not an orphan.
No.
I'm not an orphan. I've got people out there who love me.
Well, not only that, you get people that, that become friends, and then they become almost like family.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know that we should feel more that way in life, really, sharing with everybody.
Yes.
And I think that's the whole goal, is to try and, love everybody as much as we can. I mean, people think that word love is a bit strong, but it really isn't,
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of ways you can love somebody
right.
without
Yeah.
being in love, you know
That's
what
right.
I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Changes in Golden. Over the past maybe 20 years since the arrival of the ski hill and the industry, Would you say that the changes in Golden that you see are positive changes for the most part?
I think so. A lot of people really thought Golden should just become a Canmore, and then sort of us old timers felt no, it's nice to see us being a little different and growing slowly and growing in a healthy way, which we've done, I think.
I think so too.
Because we haven't had huge spurts. The ski hill brought a lot of interest, and it still is bringing a lot of people in here. And the golf course, which opened in a similar time in the mid-'80s, it's really good stuff, but we don't need to have 10 golf courses or another ski hill, or because those things, it makes it kind of special when you have one of,
Yes.
in a way, and we get so many people just admiring how good our golf course is, and our whitewater rafting, and our cross country, which is another huge bonus to Golden, the new lodge, and how that's expanded. So Golden's grown more as a backcountry kind of enjoyment place, because we have so many backcountry lodges as well. I think that's where we're at, and I always loved working with people that came here for those reasons, that they loved being here because it was not a Canmore and not a Banff and not a Lake Louise, but we were close to all those wonderful places they could visit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions you can think of, Taryn?
No, I'm thinking we might have covered a lot of the bases.
We could talk all day, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure
it's so
we could.
funny. I'm thinking, I used to go to the newspaper conferences too, which were really lots of fun. And I went one time on northern, I don't even know how I got there, northern Vancouver Island. Oh, what's the name of it? It's a double-barreled name, but anyway. And I got the Blooper of the Year award. I don't know if you've ever read that, which I don't even know what paper it was in. I was writing something about Thelma Barlow, and it was Gord that brought it up to us the next day, that she was a good lay instead of a good lady. Oh my God. I tell ya,
Probably not.
Oh, thank God it was her, and I think she was kind of proud of herself. But, the Blooper of the Year award. They gave me some goofy little trophy. But, so you think of those fun times, that you had, and they're always worthwhile things. And the Remax conferences were just really motivational too. So, all these things that keep you going and keep you motivated, and
Keep you
that's why you
interested.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why you enjoy these things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you're just and not motivated, you don't do a good job.
No,
and it's the way it
I
is.
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be something that you love,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yes.
you'll give it your best
And
heart
it shows.
for sure.
And
It
it
does
shows.
show.
It does.
Yeah, it does show.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your
welcome.
time today. The goal for this project was to find people in our community who had done things or contributed things to the community that no one else did. And you're certainly fitting the bill in that. And you were definitely out in the workforce when many, many women were still at home raising kids. And the different kinds of businesses that you were in were interesting as well.